Oh, hello. Pardon me, I was just reading a very interesting article on Nikolai Tesla from the latest issue of the Mensa Bulletin. That's not any sort of a clue, mind you. I'm just showing off. Right. Well, since last Tuesday, I have received quite a few guesses on Cryptic Comment number 3, Surname. 47 of them exactly. Yeah, I'm sorry, 42. 42 of them so far. So it's time again for me to share the guesses with you, what other people have come up with. The first guess for Surname was based on my own surname, which of course is Walker. Thus, Heather Quackenbush immediately guessed Walker meant the zombies from The Walking Dead. But then she immediately followed with her own. That's Mystique Freak, by the way. I'm using her real name for this reason. She followed up with another guess based on her surname, Quackenbush. Radioactive ducks. No, radioactive killer ducks in a swamp. Interestingly enough, Quackenbush is one of the surnames used in House of a Thousand Corpses, along with other interesting names that are derived from Groucho Marx movies like Firefly and Spaulding. That's neither here nor there. The next third guess was by Chris, the notorious Chris, who calls himself Chris Redfield, although that's not actually his real surname. He never tells anyone what his real surname is. I personally think it must be something like Rodriguez or Fernandez, and he doesn't want anyone to know that he's Mexican. That's just to tease Chris. Resident Evil was his guess, based on his own surname, Redfield. Not really his real name. The fourth guess, also from Chris, was Roddy, J. Michael Roddy. The name Roddy sounds like Rotti, from Repo the Genetic Opera. The fifth, one of my favorite guesses so far, because the previous comment was Kevin, then obviously the surname has to be Bacon! Bacon! The sixth guess, derived from Bacon, was Bacanoid, from the Legions, of course, because Bacon-noid. And I think that also came from Heather. Her husband pronounces it that way. The seventh one, of course, are people who are known primarily by their surnames, like Karloff. Oh yes, and that person, when guessing, brought up that he narrated The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. That would be a very interesting thing, wouldn't it? And then there's, of course, Dracula, the patronymic from Vlad the Impaler's father, Vlad Dracul. That's a surname. Then we have Karloff again, from Mad Monster Party. Ooh, yes. The 10th guess, the surname Blood and Guts, as in H.R. Blood and Guts. The 11th surname was Murdy, as in Murdy from Hollywood, meaning Hollywood. The 12th guess, again from Chris Redfield, he guessed the surnames Preston and Esquire, meaning Bill and Ted. Except silly Chris, Esquire isn't a surname. You meant to say Preston and Logan, didn't you? That he would mess up on the Wild Stallions of all things. Chris of all people. The boy who dresses up like Bill every time he goes to see it. Oh yes. 13th guess was Evil Dead. I don't know what that had, why or how they derived that from surname, but that was the 13th guess. 14th guess was Hammond from Jurassic Park, right? The 15th guess was the surname Kane, as in Albert Kane, or possibly Cindy Kane, or Nova Kane, or Cocaine, or let's not go there, Candy Cane. The 16th guess, surname was Bates, as in Bates Motel, or Psycho. The 17th guess was surnames first started being used in Europe in the Middle Ages, and there was a tome called the Doomsday Book, where they gave everyone their names and where they lived and how their property and all sorts of legal things. Domesday could mean doomsday, yes. The 18th guess from surnames and things that are known by surnames, the Munsters. The 19th guess, following along, the Addams Family. And the 20th guess, the Voorhees family. I mean, they don't have a sitcom, but they should. Yes, Pamela and Jason and whoever the hell Dad was. That would have been a great sitcom, wouldn't it? Alright, then we have our 21st guess, a creature known by the surname of his creator, Frankenstein. 22nd guess, a creature known only by the surname Pennywise. Wasn't that guessed a lot for balloons? I guess they applied different guesses to different comments just to see if any of them stick. 23rd guess, House of a Thousand Corpses in Zombie Vision, because surname equals family. The 24th guess came from a big sort of analysis on the clue and on the comment and on other people's guesses. That was done by a fellow named Jeff Blackman over at Horror Night Nightmares, and he came up with several possibilities, although that's not, he really thought it was The Walking Dead, but he brought up possibilities in his dissertation, including Lovecraft, 25 Hitchcock, 26 Poe, and 27 Kubrick as all possibilities. Guess 28th was his own surname, Blackman. He was kind of pointing the finger at people like Redfield using their own surnames, thinking that was silly, and saying that Blackman could be used for Slender Man, or guess 29, The Iniquitous, or 30, Shadow Man, or guess 31, Night Maze. And then, because one of his friends posting at the same time was Liz, with 2 Z's, STEM, he was making fun of her surname, or guessing off of it, or showing Redfield how silly he was, with guess 32, Grown Evil. Oh, I see. I'm silly of me. I should have counted all of these as separate guesses. That'd be 33 and 34, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that'd be 41, 2, 3. That actually means I have 44 guesses, actually, not 42. Sorry about that. Counting is not my best talent, obviously. Okay, so actually guess 32, Grown Evil, 33, Little Shop of Horrors, and 34, The Happening, all from STEM. Right, after that, let's see. Superfan Joey James, who is not Haugaluk, is not a made-up thing, is an actual young man named Joey James. I think is his first and middle name. We don't really know his surname. Isn't that interesting? But who has been selected by marketing and PR as the Superfan, but is actually a real person. Came up with a guess that a man with a balloon named Kevin who has a surname. Of course, when he said that, I had to be silly and say, are you saying it's the man who is named Kevin or the balloon? And he responded, the balloon, of course. A balloon named Kevin. Trying to fit all 3 comments together. That's interesting. The 36th guess was the Freemasons. Apparently, this fellow who guessed that, don't remember who it was off the top of my head, could be 1 or 2 people, and I don't want to say the wrong name. I think it was Joshka. Yeah, I think it was Joshka Pershka. And I hope I pronounced your name right. He was saying Freemasons call each other brother so-and-so and address them to each other by their surnames. So he was thinking that, or possibly some other secret society. The 37th guess was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because surnames have gone around and around in that franchise, from Sawyer to Hewitt, and now in 3D back to Sawyer again. 38th guess, Lazy Bastard, saying that Captain Lazy Bastard may come back, except there was some discussion after that whether Lazy Bastard is a surname or just Bastard is the surname. The 39th guess, and this is another amusing one, Bob. Bob doesn't have a surname, does she? She's just a cat. But Bob, or maybe Bob is the surname. It's Ms. somebody. We don't know the first name, Bob. Then who's Mr. Bob? Enough of that silliness. 40th guess, King, as in Stephen King, and this was from Heather Quackenbush or Mystique Freak again. King then having written Firestarter, which features government experiments, which Shadow Creek involved government experiments, therefore Dogs of War. Havoc Dogs of War. Following in a similar mode, guest 41 was Shakespeare, which I think was inspired by some silly thing that was posted by that Efreet person over at Horror Night Nightmares, along with their shopping list. Then there was guest 42, Spielberg, surname for, of course, Jaws, Shark in the Dark. And then 43, the surnames Jekyll and Hyde come to mind, also probably derived from my silliness on April 1st. And the most recent guest, 44, not 42, but 44, now that I counted them correctly, a fellow suggested that serial killers are often known primarily by the surnames like Dahmer, or Gacy, or Manson, or Bundy. So that's been the guesses so far for Cryptic Comment 3, Surname. And more guesses may come in before Tuesday. If so, I'll cover them hopefully before then. Otherwise, Tuesday is coming up not too far away. Have fun! Yeah.